face over the coming years ahead. It has been said countless times in this chamber that whilst we argue over a very small number of things, there are many things that we are able to agree across the chamber. And through better joint working, and this report will show that we are making Thurrock a place where people choose to live, choose to work, and choose to spend their recreation time. I would like to remind the chamber tonight the reasons for bringing this report to you. It's a bit garbled and it's a bit wordy, but the public sector equality duty came into force on the 6th of April 2011. The duty prescribed by the Equality Act 2010 aims to embed equality considerations into the day-to-day work of public authorities so that they tackle discrimination and inequality and contribute to making a fairer society. This duty applies specifically to public sector organisations due to the important role they must play in shaping society and addressing inequalities. Mr Mayor, I would like to take the opportunity tonight to share some of the successes across the Council. The Adult Social Care Peer Review highlighted that Thurrock has a strong vision in this area. It is ambitious, radical, bold, innovative and with good sign-up. 3 local area coordinators are now working across Thurrock and supporting residents in a light touch approach to finding solutions to their personal and family problems, or where necessary supporting them through the formal process that alone they may find difficult. It is still early days, but there are indications that there is a need for these to be rolled out across Thurrock. Under the Children's Directorate, the Early Offer of Help programme has supported the reduction in inequality by targeting resources to help reduce the risk of escalated need and demand on our services. The Next Top Boss programme sees 450 young people take part in the programme, with many of them going on to secure positive outcomes. We continue to see the rise in the number of young people that take up apprenticeships with the Council, with our partners and with local employers. The Housing Directorate has developed a range of new programmes to support our vulnerable tenants who were affected by the government's welfare reform. This early offer has allowed us to work closely with these tenants and in many cases postpone or stop possession orders. The Community Hub programme is moving forward at a pace. We are getting ready to launch the Chadwell Hub, and there are other communities across Thurrock, all at different stages of readiness, but all working hard so that they have a community hub that fits their own community's needs. 2013 saw countless community engagement events with our partners. These included the Big Lunch in Grays Park, Tea Fest at Grays Beach, Black History Month was hosted by Trust, Diwali celebrations were hosted by the Thurrock Asian Association, Thurrock Council Staff Forum organised the International Women's Day, recognising violence against women and girls in Thurrock. We worked in partnership with the Port of Tilbury to celebrate the 65th anniversary of the Empire Windrush docking in Tilbury. There was a Grey Street Festival organised and a series of inclusive events organised by the Thurrock International Celebration of Culture. There was also Thurrock Arts and Drama Festival. The list goes on and on of what we do well here in Thurrock. But we all know that as well as our successes, we face many challenges. We have a fast-changing community in Thurrock, and we have been faced with some very hard and sometimes painful decisions. But we are not over it, and we have even bigger challenges ahead of us over the coming years, as our grant from central government is eroded year on year. Recently, elected members have been working as a task and finish group to look at the issues of inequality and to consider whether Thurrock should support a fairness commission. This has now been to scrutiny, and what it has shown is that there continues to be high levels of disadvantage in some communities across Thurrock. I will be taking a paper to Cabinet in April of the findings from this piece of work. As we've heard tonight, the reporting of hate crime has seen a 28% increase, with 81% of crime that is recorded is racially motivated. To tackle this, we continue to work with our Community Safety Partnership, and we must ensure that we continue to tackle this. I said tonight that I will carry on tackling this, and when the Essex Police Commissioner visits Tilbury next week, I will be challenging him about this important statistic, and will be seeking reassurances that he provides us with adequate policing to tackle this. And I will be holding the Assistant Chief Assistant, who was in the chamber tonight, to account to make sure that we don't let go of this. We continue to work closely with Thurrock, and I was saddened to see that yet again the statistic for reported sexual offences on women and girls has risen by 17% this year. This subject again is one that we must not be afraid to highlight, and we must tackle it head on. These women and girls are living in our communities, and we must do all that we can to protect them. Mr. Mayor, I'm going to leave it there for fear of being told that I talk too much. This report covers the breadth of the council, and I don't pretend to be an expert in all areas, but I'm happy to take any questions that members of the chamber may have on my report. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Is embracing the digital age. I have some concerns in doing so, because we're excluding the older and indeed my rural residents who do not have access to the internet, who may not be able to travel to use a computer, or once on arrival able to use a computer. This was brought up last year by Councillor Gledhill, and in previous years by former Councillor Mrs Diane Revel. But it seems the Council continues headfirst down the digital-only pathway. At the other end of the age spectrum, I am concerned that the free phone number for the housing is a costly landline call for those younger or less affluent residents who are solely on a mobile. Reporting a repair can take up to 5 or more minutes, racking up a call perhaps costing £2. That, if they are lucky, to be dealt with quite quickly. I find it strange when we are able to supply the council help in 15 languages, but can't supply a mobile number for residents to text requesting a callback.
I think overall this is a positive report. Basically it paints a picture of a council that takes its equality duties seriously, and it paints a picture of a council that does take into account the needs and the aspirations of all residents of Thurrock when making decisions. It highlights that we've still got some issues to tackle, and it's good that the report is honest about that. We've already mentioned the issue of hate crime a couple of times. It does stand out. It's up by 28%. It's the highest in Essex. I do take some comfort from the fact some of that may be due to additional reporting, but it's still additional reporting of a real problem. 80% of that is racial in nature, and it demonstrates there are still people in the black and minority ethnic community in Thurrock who don't believe that they can go out in safety. They don't believe that their children are safe going out, engaging in social activities, walking the streets and such alike. And that absolutely is an issue we need to continue focusing on tackling. I welcome Councillor Worrell's comments on it, and I welcome the police's comments on it earlier. It also highlights issues with other groups. The remaining 20% of those issues were down to hate crime due to sexuality and disability, which again, you're talking about smaller populations in those areas, so whilst the proportions aren't so high, it's still serious and we still need to address it. The report throws out some interesting statistics about the white community. We know especially that educational attainment in the white community is falling behind in Thurrock, especially white boys seem to be a difficult group for education to reach. And it's interesting that's now showing up in the statistics that on average white employees in Thurrock Council are 1 grade lower and therefore lower paid in terms of where the majority of them sit than their black and minority ethnic counterparts. The report doesn't give enough depth to know whether that's down to the educational thing and it flowing through. It's an interesting statistic, one that we want to challenge ourselves on and understand some of the reasons for that. In terms of how we as a council handle equality within our own ranks, there was one slight sign of concern that I picked up, which is less than half of staff are willing to disclose their religious beliefs or their sexuality when asked the question. And you have to think, given that the whole purpose of that is supposed to be so we can promote equality, why do people feel those are things they don't want to tell us? Either they're cynical about it and they think, oh, it's just a box ticking exercise, it won't make any difference, or perhaps they believe that the information will be used against them in some way. And clearly we have more work to do on reassurance in that. We have to be seen to be free of political correctness as an authority, and people will know that's not our motive. And staff have to be confident that equality means just that, not doublespeak for a more subtle form of discrimination. And I would hope to see us tackling that, people having confidence that the reason we want equality information is so that we can be genuine in our approach to equality, and also we can show that we're achieving the outcomes that we want. Thank you, Mr. President.
I would like to commend the efforts of the officers and the cabinet member for compiling this comprehensive report. But again, we have already talked about the issue of hate crime. My two questions to the cabinet member: what is the cabinet member doing to reduce this hate crime in the borough? And secondly, what help is given to the victims of the hate crime? We didn't get the answers from the Assistant Commissioner, but I wasn't expecting that from him.
I think that it's important that I do try to answer just a few of them. That I'm sure that Councillor Morris could be more than welcome to pick up the housing, and that people trying to phone in for their housing repairs, and that if we did have that sort of problem, you know, that she'd be quick to make sure that that she puts an end to that. Under the transformation programme, I think that we always said that anything that older residents needed to do would not disappear under transformation. So for them to be able to access anything in paper form, it will not be disappearing. You know, anything, it's not everything will be done on the internet. And I think that that again is part of the transformation programme, that we said that community hubs and offices and council offices, that people would always be able to get paper form. This will not become a paperless council, that people with disabilities and our older residents, we're right, we must remember that not everybody has technology at their fingertips or wants it at their fingertips. Councillor Anderson, the equalities and the declarations around that, I would say that this council is no different to any other organisation that I've worked with, that people don't always want to declare their gender and their religious beliefs. You know, I work for an organisation and it's the same, doesn't matter where I work, you know, and the organisations that I work, it's probably about the same percentages. But we'll go forward in that in our staff surveys to make sure that, you know, that we do encourage people, you know, to do that. But a staff survey and this sort of stuff, it is not mandatory, you know, that they have to do that. But you're right, it should be done. But I don't think that we're any different anywhere else. Councillor Gupta, it absolutely saddens me, you know, to have to give that statistic out here tonight. And I will always try to challenge that inequality and the hate crime that goes on here. You know, it's not my portfolio, but I did hold it for a while. But I do know that we work very, very closely with the schools and with the Safer Thurrock Partnership and with the police to try to tackle it. But I said I will challenge the Police Commissioner when he comes to Tilbury next week. I shall be making sure that I put that question there. And I know that just today the portfolio holder was at a conference for people with learning disabilities and disabilities, you know, to make sure that they know what is hate crime. How does somebody recognise that they're being targeted for hate crime? And we're rolling these conferences out all the time to make people more and more aware that what is hate crime. We've got crime ambassadors, we're signing those up. We are all people from our communities. It's accredited training. If you want to be a crime ambassador, then please see the portfolio holder, because I'm sure that she'll be able to tell you how to get involved in that. So, as I said, you know, we're trying to raise what we do, and we're trying to make people safe. But in just summing up, I'd just like to say that, you know, it's a pleasure for me to be able to bring this here. It's not all good, but I just think that what it does profile that here in Thurrock, we are achieving, we're doing some fantastic work across the council and across all directorates. So thank you to everybody that's contributed towards this report tonight. And next year, we'll see where it takes us next year, but I'm sure it'll be in the right direction, and that is up here in Thurrock. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.